This one is another hard one. This is probably the hardest video that I've ever seen that I had to watch. And I can't watch it again, so I'm not going to post it here. But I did want to discuss it a little bit because this is about Ahmaud Arbery, and he was killed by three men. One man did the shot, but basically he was killed by three men, which was Travis Michael and Gregory McMichael, the father. And then there's a gentleman, his name is William Roddie, Bryan Jr. So those of you who don't know the situation, Ahmaud Arbery was jogging or running through this neighborhood, and these men thought that he had committed some sort of crime previously, like a day or two before. One was breaking into a vehicle, and the other one was just roaming around in a house that was being built, a neighbor's house that was being built. So based on this information, they felt that they needed to grab their weapons. The father and son felt they needed to grab their weapons and to chase down this man when they saw him running in their neighborhood. And the man was trying to get away. So there was a third person who was filming this incident. He was blocking, Ahmaud in, so he had to go in different directions. And finally, there was a final conflict where the men parked their truck, and the son, Travis Michael, got out and confronted Ahmaud Arbery with his shotgun in hand, and there was a wrestling and a scuffle, and then Ahmaud Arbery got shot 3 times and died in the street. That was the situation. The reason why I wanted to review this again is because there was new charges that came about in April, and the new charges there were 3 charges. One was interfering with civil rights. The other is attempted kidnapping. And then the final was carrying and brandishing a firearm during a crime. So I thought those charges were interesting. It never occurred to me that there would be additional charges for this situation. But the reason why I'm bringing it up to you today is because I'm thinking, neutrally, just thinking and having a discussion with you. But neutrally, I'm just thinking, what makes a person get to the point, as these 3 men did, where they feel that it's necessary to go grab their guns and to get in their vehicles and to chase someone down? I'm just trying to think out loud. What is the thinking? What is the story that we tell ourselves that we get to this point? Because when you think about it, I don't know what Ahmaud did or didn't do, and it doesn't really matter because it would be minimum. But the story they said was someone broke into their truck a few days ago and maybe took a gun. I believe that's the story I heard. If that's the case, what choices can we make to solve that problem? Versus chasing somebody down with weaponry, what choices can we make? If someone broke into your truck, there's so many choices you can make. And took your gun, let's say. 1, don't keep your gun in a truck overnight. That doesn't seem like a safe place to keep a weapon. 2, get an alarm on your vehicle, or even lock your vehicle. I don't know if somebody broke into it or walked into it. There's many choices you can take. You can even talk to the neighbors and say, my vehicle was broken into. Keep an eye out. I don't know who did it. I don't know what's going on. Keep an eye out. I had that happen in our neighborhood not too long ago, where somebody was breaking into the vehicles in our neighborhood, and there's a neighbor close by just went around the neighborhood and just start telling everybody that what's going on, that somebody's breaking into the vehicles. Just be on the lookout. They thought I saw a vehicle at a certain time of night, but just to be safe, be on the lookout. They warned the neighbors. They also called the police, but they warned the neighbors. These are things that you can do. These are things that you can do. Then there's the situation where across the street or somewhere in this neighborhood, there's a house that's being built, and it's just empty. There's nothing there. It's basically a shell. So it's suspected that Ahmaud Arbery may have went in there and looked around. That's a possibility. I don't know. But even so, what can you do in that situation? If you suspect that somebody is walking around, I don't see the issue with it. People are curious, especially when you're building up new homes. Like, what does that look like? You know, maybe studying it somewhere. I don't know. People do that all the time. But I don't see the issue with it, but they did. So if you see an issue with it, I mean, it's not your property. So if you see an issue with it, what can you do about it? What can you do? Well, you can call the neighbor, if you know the neighbor, and say, hey, this is what's going on. Turns out the neighbor had a camera in there anyway. That's why we have the pictures. We're not sure who it was, but you can do that. Again, you can let the neighbors know of what's going on in their neighborhood, just to be aware. If you're concerned, if you're afraid, these are the things that you can do. These are the things that make sense. So when I'm asking and wondering, why would somebody make a decision to take their weapons and chase after this person? A couple days later, in fact, and a chase after this person, in an attempt to detain this person, in an attempt to question this person with weaponry, in an attempt to intimidate this person over possibly they felt that maybe he stole something out of their vehicle. Maybe. They don't know for sure. Or possibly he was wandering around in a neighbor's area where construction site. What would make somebody do that? And I say that because, you know, and I'm just exaggerating on this, but there used to be this serial killer. His name was BKT or BTK killer, whatever he named himself. If you're in that situation, and I'm not going to justify it, but I can understand it. If you're in that situation where the BTK serial killer was in your house and he had just finished assaulting your family and you happen to be there and he's trying to get away and you know it's him, you know he's the one, I can almost see the getting in the vehicle, grabbing your weapon. You can't justify it in law, but I can almost see that you're so emotional that you can't let that person get away who has assaulted your family. I can almost see it in that situation. But in this situation, possibly robbery, they're saying possibly, don't know for sure, happened a couple of days ago. I don't understand the decision, why somebody would make that decision. Because if you wanted to chase, like I had a situation not too long ago where somebody was in my neighborhood and they were actually working around my yard. They had this van or whatever. So I approached them and I, asked him, he had a business card, what's the deal, whatever. And I was very respectful. I'm not accusing him, very respectful. I just want to know who this guy is. And he could answer my questions or not answer my questions. So in this situation, I was saying, if you want to talk to somebody to find out what's going on, you probably could approach them without weaponry. I mean, it's an extreme. Somebody could jog through your neighborhood. That's up to them. But you could do that. You could approach somebody, not chase them. If they don't want to talk to you, you don't chase them. But if you approach people the right way, you probably can approach somebody and have a conversation. But like I said, if they don't want to talk to you, you got to disengage. You got to move on, because now you're holding them hostages. You're trying to force your will on them. It's not going to work. But these folks, though, based on what I just described, went to the extreme. They grabbed guns. They chased this guy. through the neighborhood, wouldn't let them escape. And then finally, a final confrontation comes about. I don't know what they were expecting. They probably thought because they had the power of the weaponry that they would intimidate this person. But I've said it before. Just because you have a weapon in hand, and we've seen that over and over again, that doesn't mean that other person's going to be intimidated. It doesn't mean they're going to act the way you think they're going to act. We see too many movies where there's a script and people act the way they're supposed to. In real life, they don't. In real life, you can approach somebody, they don't have to talk to you. You can even have a gun in your hand. And if they don't want to talk to you, and if they're that bold, they don't have to, and they won't. Not only that, you're the danger. They can fight back. I know the defense, they're going to say that it was self-defense. This is why Ahmaud Arbery died. Self-defense. They were defending themselves. That's the twist that we're going to see on this. But the choice was already made. They showed up with a gun. They didn't have to show up with a gun. They didn't have to show up at all. All they had to do is call the police. But they show up with a gun, threatening this man's life. Can you imagine? Somebody is following you with guns, and yet you somehow twisted in your head that you're the one who's in danger when you're chasing somebody else. So this guy fought for his life, and he lost his life. What story do you tell yourself to put yourself in this situation? This situation could have been avoided. We have weapons, and we have the right to use our weapons to protect ourselves. But when you take your weapon out of your home, out of your vehicle, and you start threatening and chasing people down with your weapons in hand, that's not self-defense. You're not defending yourself. You're trying to intimidate. You're threatening. You are a criminal. To Ahmaud Arbery, you are a criminal with weapons who's looking to do him harm. And he has choices. He can run, which he tried to do. And he couldn't run away. He had the vehicles. Couldn't run away, getting pinned in, going back a different way. Now you're waiting for him outside the truck with your gun out. And he made the decision to fight. And he fought to his death. But I say again, the mindset. How is that okay? To brandish guns, to chase someone down, to think you have the right to question someone. How is that against their will? How is that okay? It's not. These are the mistakes we make. There's so many different routes this could have taken, and this would have been great for Ahmaud Arbery and for the McMichaels. Everyone. We don't even know about the McMichaels. Like, they probably never spent a day in prison their whole life. Same with this other guy, William Roddie Bryan. They probably never spent a day in jail their whole lives. And then they make these decisions. And so here they are. They've been in jail for a year now. And we don't know what's going to go on in the trial, but it's probably not going to go well for them. They're not going to be able to explain or justify it away. In their minds, to each other, while they're doing it, they can justify it. They can say, it's needed. I got to get my guns. We got to chase this guy. We got to scare this guy. It's needed. But the reality of the situation, once it's done, and we're all looking at it, the judge is looking at it, people are looking at it, the police is looking at it, It don't look right. It doesn't look justifiable. And it's because of poor decisions. We can't get ourselves in these type of decisions. We got to weigh things, because anything can happen when you start chasing people with weapons. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And I said earlier, and I can't even justify it here, but if there was a serial killer in your house and it just attacked and assaulted your family and you're chasing them out of your house, I can almost see it. You don't want him getting away. I'm not saying you kill him, but I can almost see chasing him, trying to detain him for police. I can almost see that. But this situation, I'm not seeing a proper justification for this type of extreme behavior of chasing an individual down. Doesn't make sense. So that's all I have, everyone. Peace and hope.